This is the last video in a series that covers an adventure I took in June of 2023. I loaded up my 2018 KTM 500 EXCF in the back of my Toyota Tundra, and I headed to Colorado. When I left Hardin County, Texas, the only thing I knew for sure is I planned on spending 2 nights in Nederland, Colorado. After spending a night in Abilene, I went on to Trinidad and spent a night there. Ended up riding 40 some odd miles that day. I have a little video on that ride. After spending a night in Trinidad, I went on to Nederland, Colorado, where I spent 2 nights. I didn't know where I was going to go that second night, and I met a guy at a barbecue restaurant, and after talking to him, I decided I was going to go on to Laramie, Wyoming. I arrived in Laramie, Wyoming, and found a Holiday Inn Express. Ended up spending 2 nights in Laramie. I also have a couple of videos on my rides there. Again, I met someone in the hotel restaurant, and after talking to them and just really looking at a map, I decided I was going to go to Custer, South Dakota. I mean, after all, Mt Rushmore's there, Crazy Horse Memorial, the Badlands, and several other sites that I just didn't have time to visit. My first night in Custer, South Dakota, ended up staying in what they call a luxury teepee, which meant it had a bed with linens and pillows. It also had Wi-Fi. Once I arrived in Custer, my first thought was I needed to head towards Mt Rushmore. So here I am looking for Mt Rushmore. At this point, I'd already visited the Crazy Horse Memorial, which I actually covered in another little video, and it was still raining. It was raining as bad as when I got north of Custer. At this point, I knew I was getting close to Mt Rushmore. I had already passed the entrance to Mt Rushmore, and it wasn't until I went back and edited this video that I saw Mt Rushmore over my shoulder there. You can see in the middle of the screen. Once I realized I had probably passed Mt Rushmore, I did a safe legal turn further on down the hill and turned back around. And as you can see here, I'm actually approaching and seeing Mt Rushmore for the first time, which is kind of neat. Here, of course, is the walk up to Mt Rushmore and all the flags of the various states there. It was the second full day that I was in Custer. Found the Black Hills, South Dakota, and it was a beautiful day. The next little bit is just me riding on one of the gravel roads that wound through forest. My next stop was the Needles Scenic Byway, which is located in Custer State Park. This is the Needles Eye Tunnel, and you can't help but notice that there is a stormtrooper there, apparently guarding the tunnel. It was a one-way tunnel there, so maybe he was. These are just a couple pictures from the Needles Scenic Byway. This is my last night in Custer, South Dakota. I already had the bike loaded up. I was ready to head south. After they kicked me out of the teepee the first night, I had to move to an economy cabin. That's what that is. The final night, they kicked me out of that, and I had to set up my tent for the very first time. That there was the last morning in Custer. Anyway, thanks for riding along. I'm headed to Colorado Springs, pick up the wife, and meet some guys. That's a whole other story.